in what has been an annual tradition since the start of the century. The Crosstown Showdown heads to New Palestine. The Dragons of New Palestine taking on the New Castle Trojans. We welcome you all on 9 Star TV. It's Brendan King reporting on what is a chilly Friday night. We know that for more reasons than one. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later with Jim Leisure. Jim, this is always one that both communities look forward to, New Castle and New Palestine. Each club has started the year strong with 4 wins.
Yeah, again, New Palestine's off to a 4-0 start. New Castle comes in at 4-2. A lot of green in here, a lot of green and white, a lot of red and white. Big crowd. Should be a fantastic game.
Jim, let's get the tell of the tape. New Castle is 4-2 heading into the campaign, heading into tonight. 57-36 winners at Jay County. That was last Saturday. What's to expect about the Trojans?
You know what? They like to shoot the basketball. You know, no surprise. New Castle's had shooters forever, all the way back to the days of Steve Alford, and then all those years that they were sending people to Butler. They were all three-point specialists. This is a group that shoots the basketball well, and you can see Ethan Hinton right there averaging 15.5.
For New Palestine, still undefeated, a perfect 4-0. Jim, there are multiple players on the Dragons side that average double digits. Which one sticks out?
Well, that kid right there, Ian Stevens, but I tell you, he's got some great complementary players around him. Blaine Nunley averages about 17. And, you know, I was talking to Coach Trent Whitaker before the ball game, and he said, you know what, we have a lot of weapons. You got to guard all 5 of our guys, because if you leave somebody open, they'll fill it up.
New Palestine in the white jerseys and shorts, red trim. New Castle there in the all-black, white numbers, green trim. We are ready to roll. Your officials tonight, Gary Hamilton, Chris Fuller, and Michael Grunman. It is a packed house from New Palestine.
Yeah, you know, I said green and white earlier, Brendan, but yeah, I didn't realize it until they took their shooting shirts off that they're dressed in black.
The opening tip is controlled by New Palestine, won by Ian Stevens, and the Dragons with the ball first with Blaine Nunley. Nunley has been a 4-year starter. His numbers continue to rise just as he goes. Now has a brother on the team in Bryant Nunley. This is Blaine sidestepping Colin Taylor. Now the ball out to Bryant Nunley. Both Nunleys on the floor for New Pal. Now driving in, missing with the left hand is Ian Raudebush. New Castle with their first possession.
Colin Taylor with the board there.
Ben Shagley also starts for New Palestine as that is flushed down by the talented Gavin Welch, averaging over 17 a game.
Well, he must have just been on the line, Brendan. They're giving him credit for a 2.
Nunley tries to answer with a 3, rattles in and out. Skying up for the rebound was Tyson Lewis.
New Pal normally a man-to-man team. I would assume that's what they're going to come out in and may stay in the whole ball game. We'll see.
Taylor ringing around to the perimeter. Now through the legs, it's Clay Butler. And fitting, you just mentioned at the pregame, there's a player with the last name of Butler on New Castle with all the great Bulldogs that have come from New Castle.
Well, if you know your Indiana high school basketball history, taking you all the way back, probably like 1932 or somewhere around in there was their first state championship, talking about New Castle. And then taking you forward to the 70s with Kent Benson. IU great, played on the 76 undefeated team, Mr. Basketball. Fast forward a couple years later to Steve Alford. And then again, just you could go on and on. Great basketball players from New Castle, Indiana.
New Castle certainly taking their time. They've got the 2-point advantage to open things tonight. Tyson Lewis along the wing. New Palestine student section wanted a call, is losing the ball, and sticking with it are the Trojans.
Yeah, they're going to say that
they're going to reverse it. Yeah,
I thought it went off the New Castle player there. There was a reach in. The ball gets loose. You're going to see it's coming right in your living room here. Ball's loose there. You know what? Probably a pretty good call.
Trojans keep it. Under the basket was Hinton. Hinton, tough shot, goes long. Nunley the rebound. Again, Blaine Nunley, number 14. Bryant Nunley, 11. This is Ian Raudebush with New Palestine's first points.
You know, Blaine Nunley did not play in this ball game last year. It was at Newcastle Fieldhouse, and he had, I believe, a little touch of the flu, fever, and he did not play, and that obviously did not help the Dragons as much probably as it helped the Trojans.
Long 3, rimmed away. The rebound for Ian Stevens, and now the Dragons push to the floor. New Castle does lead the all-time series 17-7. The baseline cut and a finish for Stevens, 18.5 points per game. Stevens has started the year remarkably, has helped New Palestine get to 4-0. Long two for Turner, no good. Stevens the rebound. It was ripped away, though, and heading towards us.
I believe they're going to call a foul on number 5 there, Ethan Hinton. Stevens pretty much had the basketball with both hands. Hinton reached in, knocked it loose, but the official must have felt there was enough contact.
The coaching matchup, Trent Whitaker for New Palestine in his 8th season. Daniel Cox has been around New Castle for 10 years after Coach Bennett retired.
And both these coaches with similar records. Trent Whitaker with 97 wins. Daniel Cox with 132.
Stevens again, off glass, just couldn't kiss it away. Rebound by Shagley on the putback.
You know, one of the things that I've noticed in the pregame notes is that New Pal gets about 7 offensive rebounds a game. That's an opportunity, obviously, if you're just hitting 2-pointers, for 14 extra points.
From the corner, another 3 missed by Newcastle. You mentioned it, Jim. Newcastle likes to shoot the 3 more than New Palestine does. The Trojans, the Dragons, they only made 3 triples in their win against Greenfield Central last time out on Friday, but that was enough to win the game. The kick out along the perimeter. Nunley will try to 3. Pure. Lane Nunley.
Really good ball movement there, and we get an opportunity maybe on a stoppage of play. We can get a replay. There was about 5 or 6 really good passes. Any one of them could have taken a shot, but they just kept working it till they got a really, really good look at the top.
It's been a 9-0 run for New Palestine since Newcastle opened the scoring. Midway through the first quarter.
Newcastle probably wants to be a little bit patient, but man, when you find yourself down, you got to hurry it up a little bit.
This is Gavin Welch, their leading scorer. He looks to be the tallest man on the floor. A little turnaround shot off the front end of the rim. Newcastle again a chance. It's Stevens, contacts, and a blocking foul.
Foul's going to go on number 22. That is Welch. Now, he's a kid, again, that you don't want to get in foul trouble if you're Newcastle. Just under 4 minutes to play in the quarter, so a lot of basketball to be played. We'll see if the big fella can be smart and not put himself in bad positions.
So Stevens drew the foul, a 79% shooter from the charity stripe. With the left hand, the first one is good. New Palestine the first to double digits tonight.
And you know, Stevens is really, that's an area of his game that he has improved since his sophomore year. He used to be about a 60% shooter. Now he's an 80% shooter, and it's probably good for about 6 or 8 points a night because he goes to the line a lot.
2 of 2. Now New Palestine as a team only at 67%, but as you said, Stevens, the big man, able to make the free throws. That could be certainly a weapon.
Yeah, and you know, I got to believe college coaches are looking at that too. They want complete ball players, guys that can not just shoot on the floor or shoot from behind the arc, but can you go to the free throw line and make people pay?
11-0 run for New Pal since Newcastle first scored. A 3 for Taylor, looked to be partially blocked, and a hip check under the basket. And another foul on Newcastle.
Yeah, Stevens goes up for what would be his 3rd rebound, but he's been fouled on 2 in a row there.
Newcastle is not playing the press. Early on tonight, Jim, we have seen New Palestine come with the full court press, and that has given the Trojans some fits to start the evening.
Well, again, we talked about how Newcastle probably wants to be a little patient. Well, one thing you can do to defend that is force them to move the ball faster, and you do that by bringing full court pressure.
Now along the perimeter, Newcastle defending better. That was blocked away under the basket. Shagley, the rebound, and the putback. Timeout. Newcastle off a 13-0 run, Jim, by the Dragons.
Well, yet again, some second chance points. You get offensive rebounds, especially when you get them right under the block. You go right straight up and you go. And we're going to see Raudabush takes the lane. He got a lot of contact there, but again, offensive board. Slagley goes up, makes them pay.
Tonight's game is presented by Smokin' Barrel Barbecue. They're not new to the game, but they're a restaurant inside Camp Sertoma is. Stop by and check them out at 2316 South German Church Road. Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays are online at smokinbarrelbarbecue.com. And stay tuned later in the game for tonight's Smokin' Player of the Game, presented by Smokin' Barrel Barbecue. I'm Brendan King with Jim Leisure. Out of the timeout, 13-2 offensively. Jim, what do you need to see more of from the Trojans?
You got to see more movement. What I'm seeing right now, and we have a great vantage point, is a lot of standing around. Right now you got 3 guys standing on the other side, nobody moving.
Another shot is missed. Bryant Nunley has the rebound. And this is Bryant Nunley driving in. Nunley lowered the shoulder, and he got fouled on his way there.
Yeah, again, we had a great shot of it right here where we're at. Just got him right on the wrist as he was going up with the left hand.
You know, the way that Bryant Nunley charged in there, Jim, it was almost like a fullback getting the ball at the offensive line, just barreling himself through the post.
Yeah, a little bit out of control, but again, he made it work for him. So, I mean, and again, if you can go to the line, man, I mean, they're called free throws for a reason. You can get 5 or 6 a night right here.
Nunley has made all of his free throws this year, but that was only his 3rd attempt of the season.
Yeah, I've seen kids that average, 10, 12 a night, but they become really, really good free throw shooters, and if they're drivers and slashers like Nunley was there, they're going to get fouled. They go to the line. You can pick up another 6 or 8. So instead of being a 10 or a 12-point scorer, you're suddenly an 18 or 20-point kid.
So a big hole already to work back from for Newcastle. They open the scoring tonight if you're just joining us. Since then, the last 15 have been scored by New Palestine.
As you watch Newcastle here, again, basketball's at the top. They're going to set a ball screen. Pretty much everyone else is just kind of standing. Now they get a little bit of weave there.
With 2.5 to go in the first quarter. On the drive, this is Colin Taylor. Off balance, but good. Kissed it off the glass. 4 points now for the Trojans.
Nice job.
Stevens tries to answer. Missed that, and now Newcastle tried for back-to-back buckets for the first time.
Colin Taylor with his second board.
Colin Taylor averages just over 12 points a game. This is Tyson Lewis with the ball. Lewis will drive, and he makes his lay-in. So the timeout wisely called by Daniel Cox. Since then, Jim, Newcastle's been better.
Well, Tyson Lewis, a little bit of a mismatch there. Ian Roudabush just not able to stay with him defensively. But again, it's asking what amounts to a forward to guard a guard, and hard to do.
Lane Nunley couldn't finish with the left hand. There's a tie-up. No, it's an defensive foul. It's going the other way.
I believe they called that on Roudabush. We're going to see it here. Nunley drive the lane.
Yeah, it had to be Roudabush, right?
I thought it was on Nunley, but
right there?
Okay, yeah, either one, but they went with Roudabush.
So just like that, Newcastle's back within 10, and they have a chance to cut it a little bit more here.
This will be a big bucket. I mean, obviously, when you find yourself down like that, you can't get it all in one possession, obviously, so you got to chip away at it.
Tyson Lewis again has the most recent bucket for Newcastle. Clay Butler almost trapped himself in the corner, so had to swing it around the top of the key for Lewis. Gavin Welch, they need to get him going, averaging over 17 a game. Turnaround shot, rattles out. With 65 seconds to go in the first quarter. And one! Bucket and the foul for Julius Gizzy.
Really
Gizzy
nice
just
job.
into the game.
Now you're going to see it right here on the replay here. Kind of draws the contact there, and that's the contact that really matters. Number 3 there, Tyson Lewis.
Julius Gizzy, and Gizzy is a family-type name around these parts. His family is on hand just to our right. Julius, his brother Maximus, left as one of the all-time scoring leaders here at New Palestine, and now plays at Marion in Indianapolis. And Julius, that was an impressive take. Julius seems to have a little bit more meat on him than Maximus.
Yeah, a little bit bigger kid than Max was, but Max is actually the leading scorer in New Pal history, and his sister Isabella is the ladies' leading scorer.
That's the family heritage right there with 45 seconds to go in the first quarter. Here's Gizzy again. Goes to Stevens in the corner. Stevens drives and makes. What a first quarter for New Palestine. They lead 20-6. And Newcastle just has not been able to match the efficiency and effort. With 23 seconds on the clock in the first.
Kendall Hill in the ballgame for New Pal. He was guarding the basketball right there, doing a nice job of just denying penetration.
Welch holding. Welch being tracked by Stevens. Two lengthy guys defending each other. Now Colin Taylor's got 5 seconds. Taylor with 3. Taylor drives at the elbow, has to put it up. It got off in time. He wanted a foul. They won't give it. And New Palestine, Jim, closes the quarter strong.
Yeah, again, I don't think there was enough contact there. I mean, just, again, good defense by Kendall Hill. They'll put the basketball in a bad position. They couldn't get a shot.
20-6, the New Palestine advantage. Back next on 9 Star TV.
We are really heavily involved in the community, so there are multiple different volunteer opportunities that we can go and do.
Volunteer time to share their time and talents with organizations that need not only monetary assistance, but just people's time to help those organizations grow and thrive.
9-Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
Well, welcome back to New Palestine, where the Dragons lead the Trojans 20-6. Brendan King with Jim Leisure. That's one way to take the advantage at home.
Well, that's what you got to do. I mean, when you're at home, and you got to make people understand that this is kind of a difficult place to play. Put a lot of pressure, both offensively and defensively, on your opponent. Hit shots. That's obviously easier said than done. But when you're hitting them like New Pal's hitting them, good things happen.
Big crowd on hand. Good environment on a Friday night. Both teams will get a little bit of a break after this one. Newcastle would not play till Thursday against Mount Vernon Fortville, and then not till Saturday for New Palestine. That's over a week from now. They'll be taking on Franklin Central. Gavin Welch, partially blocked maybe. Was it saved at the baseline? Yes. Swung out to Turner. And now they hit back to Welch before it was stolen by Ian Stevens. Stevens sidesteps and scores. What a Euro step by Ian Stevens. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and a really nice job of just avoiding the defender and, trying to draw some contact. Didn't get the contact. Go ahead and finish at the rim, and he does.
The first 3 of the game. No, they called it 2. Or no, they did call it. I thought I heard 2 on the loudspeaker. It is a 3.
Yeah, it was going to be one of those again. If it was a 2, it's because his foot was on the line. But you're right, they scored it a 3. So
3 it is. To the corner. Moses Haynes, his first time of the game. 3 in white. Stevens got the rebound and was fouled by Welch on the putback attempt.
Well, again, offensive rebounds, man. Second chance points. New Palestine averages of 7.5 to 8 offensive boards a game. They've got at least 3, if not 4 already, and we've still got 7 minutes to play in the second quarter.
Stevens misses his first free throw of the night. New Palestine is going rather deep into their bench already. A couple guys that only play a handful of minutes per game. Moses Haynes and Kendall Hill each check in. Hill 15 in white. Haynes is number 3. Also a change for Newcastle. Quentin Boatwright is in for the first time.
And somewhat uncharacteristically there, Stevens misses both free throws. Foul goes against Kendall Hill, his first.
So Hill enters and almost immediately picks up the foul. Colin Taylor takes the ball up for Newcastle. Blaine Nunley on Taylor. Taylor doing it all himself for 2. Caught a good screen around the elbow, Jim, and then scored.
Well, it was a double screen as well. So, again, that's, again, how to get people involved is just set some ball screens. But it wasn't just one Trojan, it was 2.
Julius Gizzi for 3. Yes! His brother Max in the crowd, putting his hand up and clapping. That's quite the family heritage to follow, but Julius Gizzi's doing a nice job.
Yeah, because, Sarah Haynes is their mother. She was the leading scorer.
Right. I mean, almost a requirement that you have to be up in the leading scorer ranks if you're a Gizzi.
Sarah, I believe, the only Indiana All-Star team from the ladies' side.
Offensive foul on Blaine Nunley. Knocking down Taylor, so Taylor takes the charge. It's still only a 12-point game, Jim, but Newcastle just has not shown the ability to score and then get stops.
Well, that's the key. I mean, you got to first you got to get stops on one end, right? You got to make empty possessions for New Palestine. Then you got to go down and convert. And again, sounds real simple. I get it, but if you want to get back in this basketball game, that's what you're going to have to do.
Taylor's been the most efficient Trojan so far. He does average in the double-digit rank in points. Ethan Hinton has yet to score, over 15 a game. Approaching the 5.5-minute mark of the second quarter, and another 2 points for Colin Taylor. The 6'2 junior is keeping Newcastle alive right now, as Nunley answers on the other end.
Well, that's one of the things that Blaine does. He can drive, he can create. Again, every now and then he'll be a little out of control, but that time Nice finish.
Hinton had it sideswiped, and then there's a foul to go with it, going on Newcastle.
I believe this is Hinton's third.
You're right. And Hinton will have to go to the bench, Jim. That's 15 points per game. That's probably going to have to sit.
And that is
yep.
Maximus Gizzi and his mother right there. So there's about 5,000 points just sitting there. You got another couple thousand on the floor.
There's just a few less points between us.
Yeah, oh
you
yeah.
and me.
Yeah, my high school basketball career was brief, and every good story I could tell about my high school basketball career, none of them actually involved me playing the game. It was all stupid things I did in practice, stupid things I did on the bench.
Gizzi missed the back end of the free throws, 13-point game. Well, my high school basketball career was me doing this as a 17-year-old. From the corner, three is missed. What a rebound, though, from Tyson Lewis, and his wrist got slapped, and the whistles come.
Well, see, Newcastle says, all right, you know what? New Pal's on to something, this offensive board thing. Why don't we get a couple offensive boards?
Well, if there's going to be a Newcastle comeback with one of their leading scorers on the bench, it's going to require those effort plays, Jim. And as well, you're going to need New Palestine to start picking up more fouls. The only inbound here. And they'll have to do it again.
Yeah, Stevens, good defense there, but actually hit the ball and it immediately hit the baseline. So now New Pal's going to stay in this man-to-man even underneath their basket, which makes them a little susceptible, except for that.
Another steal. Nunley averages nearly 3 a game. Trying to assist there. Stevens, though, comes to clean it up.
Another offensive board.
15-point lead for New Palestine at home. That's off of Welch. Another loose ball taken by New Pal. Nunley, 2 more.
Turnovers lead to points, and obviously if you're Coach Cox here, you know, you probably want to call a timeout, but what do you say other than protect the basketball better than we're doing, fellas? And we got to block out because New Pal's got 8 points now off second chance rebounds.
Taylor again. Taylor got fouled.
They're going to call it on Stevens here. Stevens swats down just a little bit. If he goes straight up, you're going to see it right here on the replay. If he goes straight up, you see how he's come right there. They're just going to call that. They're just every single time they're going to call that. If you're going to block it, but you don't have to swat it into the next county.
Colin Taylor, an 84% foul shooter, missed the front end. It's one thing Newcastle does very well, over 80% as a team from the foul line, so Taylor at least gets one.
Now, New Pal, honestly, they can do whatever they want to do here. If you want to continue the up-pace tempo, go right ahead. You're up 16. If you wanted to slow it down, though, and maybe work on a shot, you can do that too.
Long 2 for Stevens, rattles in. Kind of the same trajectory, Jim, as their last game, again, winning 53-46 against Greenfield Central. They only made 3 triples. They've only taken a number of three-point shots in this first half. They've gotten most of their work done inside as the 3 is airballed by Lewis. But a lot of their work has been like this. Quick passes, then a drive on the baseline. That's been the story. And another timeout. Timeout Newcastle. 20-point lead for New Pal.
Well, again, if you're Coach Cox, you have no choice. You got to take the time out there. Try to calm it down, slow down the pace. Talk to your kids, coach them up, remind them of, hey, our game plan was A, B, C, and D. I guarantee you their game plan wasn't this. All right, so you're going to see the drive here on the bucket. Really nice body control. Good job of staying in bounds. Goes up. Nicely done. Finishing on the other side.
It's been a whole lot of that for New Palestine. That time it was Ian Raudebusch. Again, tonight's game is presented in part by Smokin' Barrel Barbecue. They're not new to the game, but their restaurant inside Camp Sertoma is. Stop by and check them out at 2316 South German Church Road, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, or online at smokinbarrelbarbecue.com. By the way, stay tuned in the postgame for tonight's Smokin' Player of the Game, presented by Smokin' Barrel Barbecue.
As we saw there on the replay, a different shot of Raudebusch's shot coming up and underneath the bucket there. Great job by our camera crew I get asked all the time. I really do. People are like, hey, are those adults? No, these are generally high school kids on the cameras. They want to get into this field. It's good experience for them. These kids do a great job.
Well, that's part of what we get to do, Jim. We are lucky enough to call ball games and multiple sports in our lives, and the people around us is what makes this thing happen. So we are just happy to be here for a rivalry game, which is always a lot of fun.
We'll see what Coach Cox has got here.
Yeah, they're going to need a run before the half ends. And keep in mind, 3 fouls for Ethan Hinton. He is still on the bench.
Well, and that was a big deal in the Greenfield game as well. Braylon Mullins got into foul trouble for Greenfield. He was their first and/or second leading scorer, and Greenfield missed out on him quite a bit.
Nunley drives, missed the lay-in. Welch comes down with it. And that's another part of this game, Jim. Gavin Welch, their leading scorer, nearly 18 points a game. The Barry College commit. He's been cold from the field, scoreless.
Well, credit the defense. He's had a hand in his face. He really has not had too many great looks.
Roundabush adds a triple from the top of the key, and then Bryant Nunley picks up a steal. He called a timeout before he stepped out of bounds.
Excellent. Just a great heads-up play there, and hopefully we'll get a shot of that. But like you said, has the awareness to realize, you know what, I got nowhere to go here. This is not going to end well, so he just goes ahead and calls the timeout. I joke pretty much every broadcast and say, you get like 100 of them, so why not take them? I'm an old football coach. We got 3 a half. In high school you get like 5 a half. No one's even getting tackled, and you get a bunch of timeouts. I don't get it.
Trent Whitaker in his 8th season at the helm of the Dragon program. Wherewithal by Bryant Nunley to call that timeout. Very impressive. By the way, we teased this at the start of the broadcast. It was about half an hour before the game started. The fire alarm starts going off here at New Palestine. And the thing about it, Jim, the JV game had ended no more than 3 minutes before.
Right.
So they saved themselves from what could have been almost a disaster if that goes off during the JV game.
Yeah, it could have been a much different deal. It's one of those deals where it wasn't the loudest of alarms. It was just kind of an annoying little buzzing sound.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really sure
what it was. Kind of like the alarm clock in the morning.
Yeah. And then obviously Jim Bowles, the principal here at New Pal, and Al Cooper decided to clear the gym, and then it became pretty obvious. Every time Stevens gets fouled, he lays down for a while. Maybe he's just tired.
Well, if I was that tall, I probably wouldn't want to get up either.
It takes longer to get up when you're that tall.
Oh, yeah. Those under 6 feet wouldn't know.
No.
Well, Stevens is back at the foul line, 3 of 4 tonight. And he continues with his impressive foul shooting.
Well, that one had really good rotation. The last 2 that he shot that he missed, honestly, they were kind of a sideways rotation. You want the ball to kind of rotate back, nice and soft.
It's a 41-16 lead. Newcastle started the game by putting home a 2-pointer, and then it went on a 13-0 run before a timeout was called. 13 straight points by the Dragons. Since then, it's just been a whole lot of big runs for New Palestine. They have not very often, Jim, either given up back-to-back buckets by Newcastle. The defense to offense transition by Trent Whitaker's team has been something to watch.
Well, it's all been man-to-man, which, again, is kind of, I don't know, a little bit out of vogue nowadays. You don't see teams stay in a man-to-man all game. They'll go to matchup zone. They'll do different things.
There's the first points for Gavin Welch. 6'5 senior on his way to Barry College. And they need him to get rolling, as this lead has gotten a little out of hand for the Trojans late in this first half. A terrific ball movement by New Palestine. Another open look. This time it's Nunley. He's got another triple.
Well, and again, that's what you do to a zone. You shoot over it and you pass the basketball. You got to rotate it quickly. New Pal's been doing a great job of that, of moving the ball from one end to the other.
The answer just rimmed out off the hands of Clay Butler. And now with some momentum, here is Haynes. Haynes drops off. Now the give and go to the corner. No good. There's a collective sigh of exhale by this crowd. They were ready to explode. Another 3 missed by Newcastle. Almost like when the Dragons are running, there's always 3 guys available. That time it was Shagley. The consistency, Jim, of getting to the offensive rebounds. Again, there's always 2 or 3 Dragons around each loose ball.
Yeah, and that was Moses Haynes with the rebound, and then the give to Slagley, who again finishes on the other side. Really nice job.
46-18 in the first half.
I would not have expected this. I do think New Palestine was favored. In my opinion, going into this ball game, I thought it would be maybe a 10 or 15-point game. Certainly nothing like this.
Again, this is a Newcastle team as Welch adds 2 more for himself. They have 4 wins on the season as well. Both of these clubs have the same amount of W's. The only difference is New Palestine's undefeated, and for a reason, Shagley back-to-back buckets.
Yeah, quality of opponent is one thing. I know Newcastle's got a couple wins from what you would think of teams that aren't really that good, at least not this year. New Pal plays up a little bit. I know Coach Whitaker wanted a tougher schedule.
Colin Taylor adds 1 off the glass.
They've picked up some games this year, Lawrence North, I think, and a couple other big-time 4A programs. They've been building, as you can tell, there's 6 seniors on this New Pal squad. They've been building for this for 3 years. And Coach, that's about, you make these schedules about 3 or 4 years in advance. Coach Whitaker and Al Cooper had the wherewithal to schedule up, as they say.
The Nunleys have been a big part of those few years. 3 was missed by Blaine. Shagley got the rebound. With 2 seconds on the clock, it's Welch. Long 3, that's good. Gavin Welch, he's got that 3-point shooting ability. Let's see if that can start in the second half, as Newcastle is going to need a whole lot of that dominating first half performance by New Palestine.
Yeah, 48-25, you're down 23 points. Coach Cox got to figure out a way to get some stops and some conversions on the other end.
Halftime from New Pal. The Dragons up big. We're coming back on 9 Star TV.
Nine Star is very focused on customer and member care, focused on making sure that however we communicate with the member and customer is how they want to communicate.
Sometimes we're the one person that they speak to in a day, and you want that conversation to be happy and pleasant.
As a nonprofit co-op, we're focused on providing the best service we can for our members.
9 Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
Halftime from New Palestine, where it's a 48-25 lead for the Dragons over the Newcastle Trojans. Jim, I think the story of the first half, number 1, the start of the game, Newcastle scored the game's first bucket. After that point, a 13-0 run by New Palestine. Then secondly, much to what happened in their prior game on Friday against Greenfield Central, New Palestine, they took very minimal threes. They got their work done mostly on the transition, picking up steals, picking up defensive stops. That led to easy lay-ins on the other side.
Well, and just tremendous ball movement, as you saw on the replay there. I mean, Blaine Nunley had a shot. It would have been about an 8-footer, but he gives it up. Here's one of those transition buckets you're talking about. Again, look down court, give it up. All right, going to drive the lane. Nice kiss off the glass, but look, you got Slagley and Stevens right there ready for the rebound if it doesn't go in. And both of those young men, both Stevens and Slagley, have 5 rebounds apiece, 2 apiece on the offensive end. So here's some good ball movement. Hey, wide open 3, top of the key. Raudabus says, you know what, if you're going to leave me open like that, may not be my shot, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to drill it.
Well, when they have taken their threes, a lot of times they've been wide open. That time that was a long 2 by Ian Stevens, but it's been their ball movement that have created those open threes. And like you just saw in Raudabus as well, Blaine Nunley hit a couple. They're knocking them down.
Yeah, and again, you're going to see, probably some great ball movement here. You're playing against the zone. Now, this is a transition bucket, rebound bucket by Stevens. Again, the New Pal has 8 points off second chance buckets there. But when you're playing a zone, you have to move the basketball and you have to reverse the basketball. You can't. It's not enough just to keep passing it back and forth. The zone can stay heavy on that side of the floor. You've got to reverse it. New Palestine's not only reversing it, but they're reversing it again. They're bringing it back to the original side and getting wide open looks.
That's Jim Leisure on Brendan King. Jim, when it comes to Newcastle, they're down 48-25. A lot of those turnovers in the first half were just sometimes careless turnovers by Newcastle. If they want to come back in this game, they got to clear it up.
Well, and that's the thing, as a coach, I mean, certainly you can live with and tolerate aggressive mistakes, but man, those lazy passes, those passes where you don't really bend your back, you don't really snap it off, those are the ones that why coaches have gray hair and why they all retire when they're 38.
Would you know from experience?
I was one of the dumber ones. I stuck around till I was about 55.
Well, you now get to broadcast games with me, so
that's
a nice consolation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've always said those who can play, those who can't coach, and those who can't coach broadcast. So
I can't coach. I can tell you.
Well, there you have it. So my theory, though basically based in nothing, no empirical data of any sort, proves to be correct.
New Palestine with the ball to open the second half. Dragons are in the white jerseys and shorts, red numbers and trim. Newcastle, the black jerseys and shorts, white numbers and the green trim. Dragons contain it. Tonight's game is presented by Smoke and Barrel Barbecue. Again, stay tuned post-game. We'll name your smoking player of the game, presented by Smoke and Barrel Barbecue. And
well, there's the old,
well,
you hear about it all the time, a guy just trying to do too much. Stevens gets the basketball there. I think he was going to slam it to the ground and try to dunk it, and basically forgot to catch the basketball on the way up.
So let's see what the Trojans talked about during halftime. Keep in mind, Ethan Hinton, who put up that shot and missed, he's playing with 3 fouls, Jim.
Well, we'll see how well he can play with that. Now, again, we said it last week against Greenfield Central with Mullins. He had 3, and I said, let's see how smart he can be. And about 2 seconds later, he really picked up a really dumb foul.
They feed it inside. The easy look for Slagley.
I mean, there's an art to playing with 3 fouls and in foul trouble. You just can't put yourself in bad positions.
It's a 25-point lead, almost to open the third quarter. Newcastle has not made a lot of triples either. The Nunley brothers, Blaine number 14, Bryant number 11. They'll keep things pretty low-key for now. Bryant Nunley, those couple hustle plays in the first half, called a timeout as he was going out of bounds with the ball. He can drive it as well, almost plays like a fullback. That time, though, it's an offensive foul. He really likes to throw the body around. That time, though, he got booked.
Well, again, there was a day, when everybody had to be set. I'm talking back when I played. But nowadays, officials are saying, look, it's a player control foul, and he is out of control. As you see the replay here, he's just kind of bumbling and fumbling and stumbling, and they're going to call that.
Some work to do for Newcastle. Long 2 is pure from Gavin Welch. Jim, Gavin Welch, one of the bright spots late in the first half for Newcastle. After a tough start, missing shots, he really started to turn it on in those second quarter 8 minutes.
Well, he hit the big 3 right at the buzzer in the second quarter.
That's tipped away. Now a turnover from New Palestine. Running it, Colin Taylor. Offensive foul.
Well, because he drops the shoulder. I mean, that's clearly an offensive foul. He doesn't like it. Coach Kaus doesn't like it. Seriously, I just dip. You're going to see it. Dip the shoulder right there on the fullback. I mean, was he 100% set? No, have to be anymore. Rules evolve. Every year rules change. Rules have a different point of emphasis. That's been going on now for about 10 years.
Stevens, what a pass to the corner. Nunley just couldn't hit the shot. Slagley flew in for the rebound, and it's going to be a foul on Slagley.
Yeah, they're going to say that he hooked the defender here and kind of basically propelled himself around, and he might have. I mean, that's just kind of a veteran move, You got to try that stuff. If they call it, they call it. If they don't, you get away with it.
Colin Taylor arguably has been the best player on Newcastle's side, at least most consistent. They bounce it looking in the direction of Welch, and he stepped out. It'll stay with the Trojans.
Yeah, Bryant Nunley again with that hustle play. This time just steps on the line as he jumps up to try to get the ball back in bounds. Official right there under the bucket. Great call.
Clay Butler responsible for feeding it back in. A kick ball that time on Blaine Nunley. Boy, we see the Nunleys. I mean, Blaine, he's a 3-sport athlete. Basketball, football, baseball. A little soccer there, though.
Yeah, again, and that's, you don't see that too much anymore with the 3-sport kid.
There's going to be a timeout on the Newcastle side, even though Butler got it in. So Daniel Cox, I'm sure, was counting, and it got a little bit too close to his liking.
That's exactly what I think happened there. Because it was going to be close to a 5-second call, and Coach Cox decided to take the timeout. Again, you get 5.5, so Newcastle now down to 4.
Look at that bright, smiling face on both of you guys. Greg Rakestraw and Jim Leisure coming up with the call.
Couple of fellows with faces made for radio, I'm afraid.
Westfield and Mount Vernon. That comes up on January 3rd, just a couple days into the new year.
And I want to thank my buddy John Painter here with 9 Star Films, 9 Star TV, for putting my New York Mets hat. Now, I'm a lifelong Cubs fan.
Yeah, what are you doing in a Mets hat?
I like the colors. I like the Brooklyn Dodger blue and the San Francisco or New York Giant orange. And I got a good deal on a hat, man. Give me a break. All my friends
Hey,
last week were tearing me up.
I just want you to get those good deals.
It's all about the deal, brother.
It's Christmas time. Good deals are available everywhere. Left-hand dribble for Colin Taylor. He lost the ball. That allows Stevens the other way to elevate.
Well, actually, you know, Brendan, it was you who told me a couple years ago about the South Bend Cubs hat and what a cool hat it was, so I went out and bought one of those, too.
Fantastic. Well, I'll get you tickets, too, if you want them.
All right.
Here's Nunley. Nunley going a million miles an hour himself. Here is Bryant. Another. Now an open look for Clay Butler. Missed that one. Stevens the rebound. Boy, what a swing for New Palestine.
Yeah, a lot of action right there. Points on both ends, really. New Pal going to slow it down just a little bit. Again, good movement, though. And you know, good ball movement, but ball movement starts with player movement. Nice spin, nice pass.
2 more for Raudebusch. The ball movement for New Palestine has been almost surgical at times tonight, Jim.
Yeah, and they got to be shooting about 80%, of course, when you're shooting layups, and you're not going to miss too many of them.
Well, New Palestine shooting 51% as a team this year. They are efficient in what they do, especially around the bucket, and their defense is almost suffocating, although Colin Taylor able to hit a 3. Nunley, though, will answer with 2 more on the other end.
Well, you got to defend if you're Newcastle. I mean, you can't just really even trade 3s for 2s at this point. 4 minutes to play in the third quarter, and you're down 27.
No shortage of points to open this third quarter. Welch elevates off the front side of the middle. Blaine Nunley thinking about passing. He was swatted away by Welch. 6'5", lengthy frame to the corner. Butler around a Welch screen. Butler pulls. There's a quick 6-point swing for Clay Butler.
Well, again, slowly but surely kind of chipping away at it. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. This is where New Pal probably was going to wisely slow it down a little bit. Well, I'm not saying get out of your offense. You can still run that motion, you know, look for the open shot, look for the 2-footer. There's certainly no reason to be in a hurry.
Newcastle has played a lot better in this third quarter, but again, that first half deficit was a whole lot, and Ian Raudebusch extends it for the Dragons.
His 11th on the night. He only averages 4, so he's kind of blown up here.
Raudebusch has hit a couple open threes. We've talked about it. New Palestine really does not rip for 3 unless they need it. Tyson Lewis missed that long one.
Boy, Slagley, the sophomore, but a big body in there.
Bryant Nunley trying to extend the lead by 3 more. Newcastle pushes the floor.
Well, that, of course, is what they want to do. They got to get buckets, and they got to get them now.
The cut coming from Hinton, and Hinton was bumped really as he caught the ball. And Hinton will go to the line.
Bryant Nunley picks up his 3rd.
Hinton playing with those 3 fouls. He has not been booked yet in the second half. 63% from the line. Jim, we talked about it once he went to the bench with his 3rd foul. I mean, that's 15 points a night that you just do not have available on the floor. That is very difficult for a team, no matter how deep you are.
No doubt about it. I mean, you set your offense. The whole thing is set up based upon getting 3 guys involved, and when one of them's on the bench, then that's obviously going to slow you down a little bit. He is a senior, though, so you expect him again to be able to play in a little bit of foul trouble.
Hinton with the rainbow shot. Couldn't find its way in, and now the Dragons with the ball, Moses Haynes. Haynes played a few minutes in the first half.
Now, Haynes is a kid that he's a shooter. Now, if you leave him open for 3, he'll drain it. New Pal, great spacing and just the way they're extending the offense. Basically, 4 players outside the arc, 1 guy in the post, and that's the guy with the basketball you see now.
Raudebusch had it touched by Quentin Boatwright back in for Newcastle. Boatwright 11 in black. Also Julius Gizzy returns. Gizzy had some nice moments in half number 1. Stevens off balance, and he got fouled. I think Newcastle in a way, Jim, kind of bailed him out. That was already an aggressive take by Stevens, but Newcastle ended up fouling.
Yeah, and again, I think you're right. They did bail him out a little bit because sometimes, you know, when you leave your feet, and he was behind the basket when he left his feet. Now, you can still create from back here. You're going to see it right here. But what happened by the context, he didn't have anywhere to go with the basketball.
Kendall Hill also back in. Hill played a couple minutes. in half number one. Stevens, the lefty, misses the foul shot, and here comes Newcastle.
Nice move.
Hinton, the sidestep, and he got fouled on his way into the cage.
Really nice breakdown on the dribble there and just gets free down the lane. And, you know, if you're New Pal or anybody for that matter, you don't want to make a bad situation worse. It's bad enough you got beat off the dribble. Why foul the guy? Just let him score, and let's go the other way. You're going to see it right here. Nice job, little shake and bake. And if I'm a coach, I'm saying, don't foul him. And just give him the bucket there. It's bad enough that we got beat. Don't make a bad situation worse.
Timeout on the floor. It's a 63-36 lead for New Palestine with 1:50 to go in the third. Again, next up for both clubs, they'll get some time off Thursday night at Mount Vernon, Fortville, our Newcastle, and Daniel Cox in his 10th season at the helm, approaching the 140 win mark. New Palestine against Franklin Central. Thank you, Jim. That's a 7:30 tip on Saturday. Actually, that's tomorrow.
Actually tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Back-to-backs never easy in high school ball.
You know what, though? New Pal has always played them that way. Even before Al Cooper was the AD here, they've always been a Friday, Saturday team. A lot of teams now are playing games on Tuesdays and Thursdays, a little bit more like you do it during sectional play. But and New Pal has a couple, but they don't have as many as most.
If you're wondering what that sigh of exhaustion was, there was nearly a free throw, three-pointer, and half-court shot made by a student section member of New Palestine. That was about as close as you're going to get.
That is, you know, again, like I said, he got the 3 of the 4 there.
It's pretty good. Oh, he had a layup to start,
yeah,
too?
Yeah, he had the layup to start, and then the fourth one was online, just a little bit left.
The last 1:50 of the third quarter's coming up. I'm Brendan King with Jim Leisure. Out of the timeout, Newcastle will go to the line once again with Ethan Hinton, who was fouled before the pause was called.
Hinton, as you mentioned earlier, 63% from the line coming in.
I'd love to be a high schooler to be practicing my free throws at Newcastle. I mean, it's quite the place to have practices.
A lot of history in that
around,
building.
for goodness sake.
Yeah, a lot of history in that building. Never got to play there. Newcastle was not in New Palestine's conference when I was in school.
Newcastle coming with the full court press, but Kendall Hill, his first points of the season as they beat the press. Yeah, I've never been in that building, though. It is on the list.
Well, I will tell you that when you get there, at first you're like, this is the largest high school in the world? Because it goes down. You go in at the top.
Okay.
So it looks like a one-story building.
So it's almost a basement.
Yes.
Wow.
But when I walked in the first time, I was a freshman in high school. We had won the sectional, and so we were advancing to the regional. And I was like going, am I in the right place? How can this be the largest gym? And then it goes down about 23 rows.
Wow, that is quite deep. The bouncer and the cut for Hinton. Nice play executed by Newcastle.
Well, again, I think that's one of the risks you run when you play a man defense underneath your own or the other team's basket is, you're just real susceptible to screens. You're real susceptible to cutters.
Kendall Hill has got 5 points in just a couple of minutes. He was scoreless heading into this one in 4 games played this year. Boatwright can't answer. Gizzy the rebound. Gizzy, a shot fake, now tries the long 2. A line drive shot ends up being short. Here comes Boatwright. Boatwright hands off to Butler.
Good job by both Hill and Haynes converting on defense.
This is towards us. Like you said, you got to be, that was a little dribbler towards our table, but if there's a line drive pass coming straight for your face, you got to react pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's like Harry Carey used to say with Steve Stone, don't worry, Steve, I'll protect you. So I'll throw my body like a Secret Service agent.
You know what? The first time ever this year, I had a foul ball into the booth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Fort Wayne. It went about 3 inches away from my face.
See, it wouldn't get that close to my face because I would be under the table.
Well, the problem is I was looking down at a stat, heard the crack of the bat, look up, and like, oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
I did not have Steve Stone
or
Harry to protect me,
years ago, I almost broke my hand on a foul ball at Victory Field, a screamer. And I thought, you know what? I know where they sell baseballs. I'll just go buy one.
2 to play in the corner and swatted away. Heads up John Painter. What did we just say?
Yeah. Like we called that one, didn't we?
Locked away, and there's .7 on the clock in the third.
I volunteered to save your life. I didn't volunteer to save John. All right, so I'm not responsible for anything that happens to my left. I'm a right-handed player.
They float one up. That's the quarter, and it's a 28-point lead for New Palestine. Utter dominance by the Dragons so far tonight. It's a great environment in New Pal. The Dragons trying to close out their 5th win of the season next on 9 Star TV.
When moving into a new home, we ask ourselves questions like, who is the best internet provider in town? Well, have you considered
22,
locally owned
33,
9 Star Connect? We've become
45,
the fastest, most
50,
reliable,
67.
and
I
dedicated
dropped one.
fiber-to-the-home internet company in central
Somewhere I
Indiana.
dropped a
Our
point. I
internet
don't know how.
packages have been modified, and we are changing speeds at a more competitive price. So give us a look. Visit us at 9starconnect.com. 9 Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
To the fourth quarter we go from New Palestine. 68-40 is the New Pal advantage over New Castle. Again, this is a series that started back in 2000. Newcastle does lead the all-time series 17-7, but Jim, you talked about what Trent Whitaker has done in the last 3 or 4 years. The tides are turning as New Pal tries to get their 8th win all-time against the Trojans.
Well, when you're this size school, and New Pal is one of the smaller 4A schools in basketball, they play 4A football in a 6-class system. But generally, when you have good football programs or good fall sports programs, those kids are athletes. They also wrestle. They also play basketball. Oftentimes they play baseball, run track, do those things. And that's kind of what's going on here at New Palestine. You've got a good run of athletes, and therefore you've got a good run of success program-wide.
You can just look at Blaine Nunley, you mentioned a 3-sport athlete, football, basketball, and baseball. I mean, that eats into your entire year.
Yeah, now there's some schools, obviously Carmel, Warren Central, Ben Davis. They got 4,000 or 5,000 kids, so, you could be really good in one sport, and it does not necessarily translate to the others.
Colin Taylor couldn't convert the 3.
Haynes with his 4th rebound.
A 3 for Haynes, and Haynes was short, as you said, Jim. He likes to shoot the 3. 5 of his 10 shots taken this year were from deep, as Ethan Hinton able to put one away. Hinton has played pretty well with 3 fouls, Jim.
Yeah, good look down inside, and then Hinton just didn't even come down with the basketball. They just threw it up to him. He went to the top of his leap, caught it, flipped it up and in. New Pal, again, more than happy here to be a little bit patient.
Yeah.
Ideally, you know what, if I'm Coach Whitaker, I tell my kids, listen, I want to take 60 seconds off before we shoot it.
Nunley, no call, and a little float touch. Nunley looked to knock down a Trojan in front of him, but they let it ride.
Well, officials obviously have gotten a lot more aware of the flop, and so if they feel like there was contact there, but not enough to basically create what you're selling there, what you're acting, they won't call it. They'll just swallow the whistle.
Gavin Welch for 3 from the wing. It's pure. Yeah, I think it's interesting what they've done in the college game. Is a couple of changes for Newcastle. Cole Johnson, 30 in black, is in, as is Daniel Tippett for New Palestine. He's got the ball here.
Tippett was the quarterback of the football team.
Julius Gizzi spinning at the elbow. Tippett from the corner. And Tippett's 3 was long. I think it's interesting what they've done in the college game, Jim. They've gotten rid of the flop warning. It's just a flop technical now if the referees think that you flopped enough. On the putback, Hinton with 2 more points. So it's an automatic technical if you flop per the referee's discretion. That's going the other way in an offensive foul.
Again, New Pal being a little bit sloppy here. Coach Whitaker, I'm sure not going to be pleased with it. There's no reason to play that out of control.
Student section for New Palestine tells them what they think about that one. Hinton had to pick up his dribble, needs some help, got it with Taylor. And Boatwright from the corner launches and misses. Foul under the basket, that will go on Cole Johnson. As you said, Jim, a formidable test for New Palestine over these coming weeks, as well to start the season. They've managed to go 4-0 against Franklin Central tomorrow, and Jim, you know it as best as anybody in this 4A spectrum of high school basketball. There really are no nights off.
No, and again, Franklin Central, I believe I looked at today, they were 0-5. The ball's tipped away.
Here comes Welch the other way. Welch on a fast break will dunk it home.
Welch has kind of come alive here. He's got 16 total.
Yeah, he averages about 18. Again, that's after he had a really tough first quarter where he did not score. Ball fake to the opposite corner into the first row, and it will stay with New Pal.
Yeah, ball apparently tipped there. I wasn't sure. I thought it was just an errant pass.
From our angle, tough to tell.
Yeah. But again, if I'm Coach Whitaker, I think I'm going to say, fellas, what is the hurry? The fire drill was earlier, right? The fire was earlier. They're on fire right now.
Gizzy, kind of an off-balance dribble. They still were able to get it to Haynes, though, and Moses Haynes is on the score sheet. Hinton with some speed. Hinton tried for that Kobe-style little reverse layup almost, off glass. Bryant Nunley caught the touchdown pass, and they get it to Haynes for back-to-back threes.
Well, we've talked about the Gizzy name all night long, but Sarah Gizzy, the girls basketball coach and second leading scorer, is a Haynes. Her dad with Bruce was the boys coach when she was a student here.
Here is Gizzy.
Yeah.
Gizzy got shoulder checked on his way there. No, they're going to call it on Gizzy. They give the foul to Gizzy.
I can't believe that. There's no way this is on Gizzy. Actually, they're calling it on Bryant Nunley, so Nunley must have been setting a screen of some sort.
Hinton with the right hand, couldn't convert. He got bumped though. He needs some help up. Ethan Hinton started this half with 3 fouls. He has not picked up another.
And that's key. That's huge. You got to be able to play with fouls, especially if you're a senior and especially if you're a kid that they rely on for about 16 a night.
Well, even though this one might be out of reach, Jim, maybe that's a valuable lesson down the road for Hinton, at least just how to do it. Because there are going to be moments as you go along when everybody makes the tournament that you may be put in that position again. You got to manage it in high-pressure situations, right?
Absolutely. Get another forced shot. That was just obviously not a shot that anybody wants.
To the corner, it's Johnson. The 3 by Welch is missed.
Haynes with his 5th rebound. He's a guard. He's in there getting boards.
Welch again. Welch into the paint. Welch had it tied up, and it's going to be a foul. Give the foul to Hill. There, that Hill grabbed Welch.
And we're going to see it right here because we're right here on the table. And, well, he's got a whole lot of the basketball, not a lot of skin, but whatever. Coach Whitaker's taking a timeout here, and I'm sure just going to say, guys, the last 2 minutes have just not been smart basketball. It's not been good basketball. I know he's got some kids in the game, kids that don't get in a lot. But, you know, maybe this is why you don't get in a lot, because when I put you in, you don't play smart.
Well, same type of deal, right? That, okay, so this 76-51 game, nothing in what happens probably in the next 352 is going to impact the outcome of this game. But the coaching now can apply to the rest of the year, right?
Without question. And, you know, and I know that everyone feels like it's cliche when coaches say, hey, the next play is the most important one. It doesn't really matter what you did on the last play, whether it was good or bad. You have to play the next play because that's the most important play. But you know what? To a coach, that's not cliche. That's actual truth. That's the world they live in. It's about getting better or getting worse. And every time you have an opportunity to get better or get worse, obviously you want to get better. The last 2 minutes, New Palestine has not gotten better. It's really as simple as that. You get better, you get worse.
It will be foul shots coming for Gavin Welch. By the way, stay tuned. In the next few minutes, we will name our Smoke and Barrel Barbecue Player of the Game. Jim Leisure will have that responsibility, so start to think about it, Jim.
Oh, wait a minute. Was I supposed to be paying attention?
Well, one would think.
I'm going to have to look at my score sheet.
Welch on the front end. He is a good foul shooter, 85% this season.
17 points on the night for him.
That's right around his average. Again, he's going to play college ball next year at Barry College. He's got the body to do so for sure. And it almost looks like, Jim, He's still a little bit lengthy. You can tell he's strong, but there's a lot more muscle that can be put on him.
Yeah, there's some frame there, and again, when you get into college, and they'll put you basically on a training table with a nutritionist and a weight room schedule. They'll probably put him on a 3,000 or 4,000 calorie a day diet that's bigger than the one he's currently on. But then they're going to put him in the weight room and make it muscle and not just extra weight.
Well, that's got to be exciting for any college coach when you have a prospect like that that's still maybe growing into their body, and a guy that can shoot it like Gavin Welch. He's been really good as the night has gone along, and New Pal is going to make a full line change. Look at this. This is hockey style.
Yeah, Ethan Hinton fouled out, so he was coming out anyway.
Let's see. We'll go over it. Caden Blackford is 33. Isaac Madden is 32. Landon Thompson, number 21. 24 is Bradley Henderson. And the last would be Mason Miller, a freshman, 13 in black.
Well, and Coach Cox probably just wants to get some kids in the ball game. And honestly, don't risk any injury.
Gizzy, the nice spin and take. Julius Gizzy.
His 9th of the night. And again, using that big body.
Caden Blackford for 3. He makes his first shot of the game. So the reserves and JV players, Jim, have come in, and they're going to get an opportunity to play pretty close to a full 4 minutes.
Yeah, almost 4. And, and again, I say this all the time, too. If you get in a situation like this, you have to prove to the coach that he's been playing the wrong guy. You got to move. You got to defend. You got to hit shots. You got to make good passes.
Tippett will launch the 3 and make it. The QB can sling it as well on the basketball court.
Young man who's a transfer from Warren Central. Obviously, him and his parents made a good decision.
Blackford around the perimeter. Blackford then got it to Thompson. Landon Thompson has played more minutes than any of these guys this year. Thompson is in the rotation slightly. Everybody else really sparingly getting in, as here's Mason Miller. Miller missed the shot. Miller's only a freshman, by the way. And Gizzy was fouled on his way to the half court.
I have Gizzy for 3 rebounds, but again, just kind of using his size. But more importantly, just being smart. You don't see that much anymore where guys literally use their rear end to box people out. A lot of times, ball goes to the rim, and it's like a 4th grade game where all 10 guys go to the rim. You have 5 guys getting their rear end on somebody, block out, and then the rebound will fall right in your lap.
Well, he's got the body to do so, doesn't he?
Yeah, you don't have to out-jump everybody. Get your body in position, and then again, if they displace you, they'll call the foul, and nice pass.
The turn by Gizzy off glass. Banks open late.
His 11th. Averages about 7.
Gizzy, totally different player from his brother, playing inside as opposed to in the backcourt. Found its way in. Quick 2 for Isaac Madden. Down to the last 90 seconds of the night.
Nice play.
And
nice
now
smart
stolen.
play.
Bradley Henderson the other way. Henderson off glass. It's going to go down in their book as an assist to Landon Thompson.
But again, just a really smart heads-up defensive play. In an 83-60 game, you say, what, so what? But that's on film now, and Coach Cox can say, maybe I play this kid a little bit. Maybe I can get him in the second quarter.
The right hand pretty from Brady Armstrong. Armstrong was a recent sub for the Dragons.
I have him at 1.5 points a game, so obviously he's just kind of matched that 1.5 to 2 point average.
And with that, I believe every Dragon has scored tonight. That's right. Every Dragon on their roster has scored. That's something to say.
It is something. And again, it's about forcing people to defend every single guy on the roster.
Mason Miller. No good on the 3, and now Armstrong. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Dragons that have all scored, and they will bounce out the clock with an 85-60 victory, Jim, in the last 10 seconds. What a showing for New Palestine, who's going to improve to 5-0.
Yep, good, off to a good start. Now, again, this is a back-to-back for New Pal, so, you got to do it again tomorrow, right? Very little rest. Come in tomorrow, have a walk-around, shoot-around. You're home again with Franklin Central.
85-60 your final. It is time to get to the smoking barrel, smoking hot player of the game. Jim Leisure, I give that duty to you.
Well, I got to go with even Ian Stevens. He finished with 17, 8 points, almost a double-double. Hats off to Gavin Welch. He played well for Newcastle, but just not enough. I'm going to go with Ian Stevens.
Ian Stevens, tonight's Smoke and Barrel Barbecue Player of the Game. Tomorrow, the good folks at Smoke and Barrel Barbecue are open from 11 to 6. Whatever your plans are for Saturday, they'll be better with some great eats from Smoke and Barrel Barbecue. That's at 2316 South German Church Road and online at smokeandbarrelbarbecue.com. 85-60, New Palestine, their 8th win ever over Newcastle. For my broadcast partner, Jim Leisure, our terrific 9-Star TV crew, my name is Brendan King. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Hope you enjoy Christmas time. We'll talk to you again soon on 9-Star TV.